Canyonlands, the Utah park that makes arches look small. Most people who visit Canyonlands have already been to Arches. They drive the 45 minutes south from Moab, arrive at Island in the Sky, the park's most accessible district, and walk to the canyon rim. And then something happens that Arches, for all its extraordinary geology, does not produce in quite the same way. The scale refuses to resolve. At Arches, the eye finds reference points, a fin, an arch, a formation with a name and a known height. The mind scales to it. At Canyonlands, the eye searches for that same reference point and cannot find one. The canyon system below Island in the Sky drops 2,000 feet to a plateau, then another 1,000 feet to the rivers, through a sequence of geological layers so vast that individual features, mesas the size of small mountains, river gorges that would be headline attractions in any other state, read as texture rather than landmarks. Canyonlands is the largest national park in Utah. It receives fewer visitors than Bryce Canyon, which is roughly 1/10 its size. That ratio, the size of Canyonlands against the attention it receives, is one of the most striking misalignments in the entire national park system. And it exists because Canyonlands does not offer what most visitors come to canyon country looking for. It does not offer easy comprehension. It offers something rarer and considerably more disorienting. It offers genuine immensity. The three districts. Canyonlands is not a single park. It is three separate districts divided by the confluence of the Green and Colorado rivers, connected by the same boundary, but separated by terrain so broken that driving between two of them requires leaving the park entirely and traveling over 60 miles by road. Island in the Sky sits on the northern mesa, the district most visitors see, with the paved overlooks and the maintained trail system. The Needles district occupies the park's southeastern corner. Its landscape bears almost no visual resemblance to Island in the Sky. Red and white banded spires of Cedar Mesa sandstone rising from a broken canyon floor. A trail system that descends into drainage after drainage. Joint trail, running through a crack in the rock barely wide enough for a human body, passes through geology that the overlook roads above never approach. The maze sits to the west. It has no paved roads. The access routes, dirt tracks requiring high-clearance four-wheel drive vehicles, are among the most technically demanding in the national park system. The Park Service classifies the maze as one of the most remote and inaccessible destinations in the lower 48 states. Rescue operations in the maze are measured not in hours, but in days. Three districts. One park, 337,000 combined acres, and a visitor distribution so skewed toward Island in the Sky that the maze, in an average year, receives fewer visitors than a moderately busy trailhead at Arches receives on a single afternoon. The White Rim. 1,200 feet below Island in the Sky's paved overlooks, the White Rim Road runs for approximately 100 miles around the base of the mesa. It is a dirt road. Four-wheel drive and high clearance required. In places, the road crosses exposed sandstone shelf where the drop to the next geological layer is immediate and the road width barely exceeds the vehicle. The White Rim is not a day trip. It is a 3 to 4 day expedition, by vehicle with overnight camping at designated sites, or by mountain bike over 5 to 7 days. The permit system for overnight trips is oversubscribed. Applications are submitted months in advance. Cancellations are monitored in real time by people who have been waiting for openings. And yet, on the White Rim itself, a party moving through the route will spend the majority of their time in a landscape where the only visible evidence of other humans is the road beneath them and the mesa rim 2,000 feet above. From the Island in the Sky overlook, the White Rim reads as a pale horizontal band beneath the mesa, a diagram of geological layers. From within it, the mesa becomes a vertical wall, the rivers become audible rather than visible, and the geological layers become the actual terrain, walked, driven, slept upon. The overlook shows the park. The White Rim puts you inside it. The Confluence. At the center of Canyonlands, the Green River and the Colorado River meet. one of the most significant river junctions in the American West, visible from one overlook on island in the sky at a distance of approximately 5 miles in the canyon floor. Getting to the confluence on foot requires a trail that descends through the Needles District, 14 miles round trip, over 1,000 feet of elevation change, through terrain that has no shade and no reliable water source. Most people see the confluence from the island in the sky overlook, from 5 miles away at 2,000 feet of vertical distance, and consider it seen. The Green River, running cold and clear from Flaming Gorge Reservoir to the north, meets the Colorado, warmer, sediment-laden, running faster, and the two watercourses run parallel within the same channel for a visible distance, before the mixing completes. The physics of fluid dynamics produces a visible boundary between the two rivers at the point of meeting, a line of differential color and turbulence that persists for hundreds of meters downstream. This phenomenon has been occurring at this location for millions of years. From the rim overlooked 5 miles away, it is invisible. The maze and the rock art. The maze contains the most remote terrain in the continental United States accessible within a national park boundary. Its name is not metaphorical. Navigation within it is genuinely difficult. The canyon systems repeating and folding back on themselves in ways that can disorient even experienced backcountry travelers. Within the maze lies Horseshoe Canyon, a separate unit of the park, accessible via a 4-wheel drive road and a 6-mile round-trip hike into a canyon that most Canyonlands visitors never know exists. On its walls is the Great Gallery, a panel of prehistoric rock art painted up to 4,000 years ago, depicting larger-than-life anthropomorphic figures in ochre, white, and dark mineral pigments. The largest figures stand over 6 feet tall. The panel stretches for more than 200 feet along the canyon wall. The Great Gallery is considered one of the most significant examples of prehistoric rock art in North America. It receives a few thousand visitors per year. In a park that sees fewer than 1 million annually, itself already one of the least visited in the system, the Great Gallery is seen by almost nobody. The canyon that contains it has not changed since those figures were painted. The overlooks at Island in the Sky are impressive. They are also the smallest part of the park. Below them, 100 miles of white rim road, the confluence of 2 rivers, a canyon system classified as one of the most remote places in the lower 48 states, and a gallery of rock art painted 4,000 years ago that sees almost no human visitors in any given year. Canyonlands does not reward the half-day visitor. It rewards the person who arrives with time and is willing to go below the rim to find out what the scale was actually trying to say. If this changed how you see Canyonlands, the guide linked in the description goes further. It covers the White Rim permit process, the Needles District Trail System, the maze access requirements, and the Horseshoe Canyon seasonal windows. Click the link in the description to get started.